About DeepSeek. All right. So I'm sure most people, we are, our background is tech and more recently AI stuff. And most people have been probably seeing in the news this new model from China called DeepSeek. There's an R1 and V3 versions. I'm not sure if V3 is out yet, but the claims are that it was only took like $6 million to train, and achieves better performance than some of the OpenAI models there as well. But on the other hand, there are things about it coming out of China, privacy concerns and such in there. And there are also, things which people will say, okay, if you search for things about Taiwan or such like that, it says, hey, I can't answer that. So there's the claims of bias and stuff as well. But it's been a very interesting um, discussion, I think. And if the claims are true about what it took to train it and to run and what it can achieve on the benchmarks, very impressive and kind of, I think, concerning to a number of American companies as well.
Well, definitely concerning to NVIDIA because they just took the single biggest hit to their stock in the history of the stock market. And I believe I heard that they took a hit that was in tune with $6 billion.
I heard they lost like 12%. I'm not sure how much that translated into in currency, but I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
I heard on the news, I believe they said 6 billion.
Wow.
And we have friends that work at NVIDIA.
We
Um,
do.
yep. And so, I'm certainly concerned for that, for them. But ultimately, it is interesting the approach. The question is, can the West reverse engineer it so that they can figure out how they did it? Because they did it with less processing power, less energy, and it is supposedly better than ChatGPT 4, which is the leading OpenAI tool on the market right now. As
Yeah, I've
far
seen a couple of go ahead.
I was just going to say, as far as reliability and staying to its core guidelines.
Yeah. I also saw something that said Microsoft lost, I think, like 4 or 5% of their value too from this. Couple interesting things about it. One was, it came out this past weekend, which is interesting timing considering the change in our government and the change in the presidency and stuff. But I also saw something which suggested that, again, speculation, of course, in there that they were somehow appropriating some of the reverse engineering some of the open AI stuff or the models themselves to get this. Now, nothing to base that on other than, just reading things, but interesting there to hear that. And also, I saw some speculation that said it really wasn't $6 million. That was just a number that they quoted. Apparently, there's a large investor who is a manager of a hedge fund over there, and they're not disclosing the numbers. Regardless of that, you can't deny the effects that it has had on American companies, to your point, like NVIDIA. Yeah.
Right. And, the market in general, President Trump weighed in and said that, American technology needs to stay at the forefront, especially in AI. Who's the gentleman that invented OpenAI, the CEO of that?
Sam
I thought
Altman, you mean? Or
Altman was on the
that
news,
Altman's
and
the head of it. Yeah. I don't think he invented it, but I think he was the head of it. Yeah.
so they are, he was saying that, AI in what, obviously in the hands of bad actors could be, used to do things that we wouldn't necessarily do in the free world.
Yeah, but it was interesting too. I mean, looking at some stories and comments about DeepSeek, there was people who were complaining that well, people who were saying they wouldn't use it because it was from China, people who were saying because they were citing like examples, like if you ask it about, what's happened in Taiwan or this, that, or the other in there, it filters it out. But it does bring up an interesting question, and that is, how much should we care about where these things come from? In other words, we're not probably going to be using it as more of a search engine to look at current events happening in a country. We're using it in the sense of, AI inference generation, those kinds of things. So does it really matter as much about where it comes from as long as it can accomplish what we want it to do with that, and as long as it helps spur, innovation, drive competition in the marketplace?
Right, well, it's definitely going to drive competition and ultimately innovation because, now the West needs an answer. So I see that happening. And the reality is like, I personally, the only time I use AI for my job is when I am Googling something. I have the Genesis plugin turned on, so it'll give me AI results that summarize results of whatever thing I am searching. And I have found those to be 80% accurate on, to where the information was useful, which is pretty good. And
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
a time saver for me. The only thing I use Chat GPT for, and no shade on Chat GPT, but is to write dirty limericks about my friends.
All right, that'll be a topic for another podcast. Yes, utilizing the technology there. Yes, okay.
Oh, and
Before we
haikus.
get
Haikus.
before we get dragged down into that, yes. Well, but there is, I think, it's like any other AI situation. It is like if you use it, you prepare yourself that it is may be wrong. It may be giving invalid results. It may be mostly right, but it's up to you to still, vet what it says and determine that. I mean, I can remember when ChatGPT first came out. There were people where you and I both used to work who were like saying, yeah, we ask it, on their own private accounts or not work accounts, but, putting together like letters or memos or emails or such like that and say, wow, this thing does a pretty good job. So it's all about using these things, I think, to be able to generate ideas, bootstrap things, as in there, but not using them just in saying take them take them at their word for that matter. But it's one of those things. It's like you get both sides of the coin with like DeepSeek. People who'd say nope, we're not going to use it because it comes from China and there might be privacy violations, might be taking our data, and but at the same time, it's like, all right, do we actually know that other things aren't taking our data? Do we actually know that the ones produced here are? I'm not saying that they are, but we should, at what point does it matter? It's like if you want to go off the grid completely, that's, without having your social security number or address or whatever somewhere, you would have to work very hard at that. But is it worth it to do that?
Well, you have to keep in mind that not everyone is discerning. I mean, there are people that get their news from TikTok. Right. So not everyone is discerning and not everyone understands the danger. And, I could see, teenagers, trying to get AI to say dirty things. And, I know two grown men that spent a night drinking, that both of them worked at the company that we used to work for, spent a night drinking just trying to get Apple on Apple HomePod to say the F word.
Are you sure they were grown?
Oh, they were grown. Yep. Two grown men spent the evening trying to get Apple on HomePod to say the F word.
Well, that's yeah. Drinking will make you do funny things in there as well. Yes, but yeah, I don't know. I think AI has its place and everything too, but I think in the scheme of things, having these other models like from other countries and stuff is good competition, and it's going to spur things and hopefully make the U.S. Help us step up a little bit. And if there's been inflation of prices or inflation of capabilities for stuff like that, maybe this will ground it. Maybe this will swing the pendulum back the other way. So, yep.